Hey everyone, it's Mr. Fedegante here, and today we are going to be subtracting rational numbers, but solely focusing on decimals in just this video. Just like we did with integers, you're always going to do keep, change, change. You're going to keep the first number the way it is. You change subtraction to addition, and you take the opposite of the second number, and whatever that opposite is, you write that down. So if you notice, I have red, that's number 1, blue is number 2, green is number 3. So if I do keep, change, change, I have negative 12 and 8 tenths, keep it, change the sign to addition. The opposite of just this positive, you always just do the number, not the sign in front, would be a negative 54 and 3/100. So since they're both negative, this actually becomes a pretty easy problem because if they have the same sign, all we have to do is add them up. So we have 3 plus 0, we have 8 plus 0, decimal comes straight down, 4 plus 2, and 5 plus 1. Bear with me, I'm using my mouse, doing the best I can. Now, some of you guys have noticed on last week's assignments, you would just circle your answer and say you're done. But I want to make sure you guys are doing this every single time. Before you circle your answer, ask yourself, what sign should I have in front of the number? Should it be positive or negative? Well, if I look, both my numbers were negative. So if I'm adding a negative to another negative number, my answer should still be negative. I always think about money. Like if you owe someone $12.80 and then owe them $54.03 more, you're going to owe them $66.83. That'd be a negative number because you owe them that money. You wouldn't get the money, $66.83. You would have to actually pay them or owe them that much. So if they have the same sign, we're just going to add them together, get the negative in front, and now it's negative 63 and 88/100. For example, number 2, we're still going to do keep, change, change, keep, change, change. If I do keep, change, change, I would have this, negative 34 and 98/100. We change subtraction to addition, take the opposite of the second number. It was negative, so it's going to be positive. Now in this example, I have 2 different signs, one positive, one negative. If you have 2 different signs, you just subtract, and whatever has a bigger absolute value tells you what the sign is. When I do decimals and fractions, I obviously want to put the bigger number up top if you were ignoring the sign. So pretend that negative wasn't there, cover it up with your finger or something. The 38 and 134 thousandths would be bigger, so I'm going to put that one up top. Then I'm going to subtract them. All right, 4 minus 0 is 4. Just like in normal subtraction, I can't do 3 minus 8, can't do 1 minus 9. So I'm going to borrow from the 8, make it a 7. 11 becomes 10. And then I have 13. 13 minus 8 would give me 5. 10 minus 9 would give me 1. Decimal comes straight down. 7 minus 4 would give me 3. And then 3 minus 3 is 0, so I'm going to leave that there. So my answer is 3 and 154 thousandths. Now, like I said before, always ask yourself, should it be a positive or negative number? Well, if we look back down here, it's going to tell us. Remember, the number with the bigger absolute value tells you the sign of your answer. So which one's farther away from 0, the 38 or the negative 34? Hopefully you guys are saying that the 38 is farther away, so my answer is going to stay positive, so it is 3 and 154 thousandths. Now, my last example, you might not have to do keep, change, change for this one, but I'm still going to practice it. Keep, change, change would give me keep the first number, change. We just changed the number, not the sign in front. So it'd be negative 19 and 29/100. And we're going to add that to a positive 4 and 76/100. Just like example number 2, I have 2 different signs. One's positive, one's negative. So I'm going to have to, you guessed it, I'm going to have to subtract. I'm going to move this down a little bit. There we go. And we're just going to subtract like we normally would. 9 minus 6 will give me 3. Can't do 2 minus 7, so I'm going to borrow from the 9. That becomes an 8, and the 12. The 2 becomes a 12. And then we do 12 minus 7. Excuse me. That would give me 5. Decimal comes straight down. 8 minus 4 is 4, and then 1 minus 0 is 1. I put the 0 there just for the placeholder, just so you guys knew that you didn't mix it up or didn't line up the decimals correctly, the same rules still apply. Always line up your decimals, always subtract like you normally would. Now we always ask ourselves before we circle, should my answer be positive or negative? Well, look which number has the bigger absolute value. Which one's farther away from 0? Negative 19 or 4? Negative 19 is farther away from 0. So we say it is a negative 14 and 53 hundredths. Just to clear up something that I saw on your guys' assignments, some of you were telling me the number that's the biggest decides what sign your answer is. And I get what you're saying, but technically, if we said the number that's the biggest, that would always be the positive number. So in this example, you would say it's positive. It's not the biggest number, it's the biggest absolute value. We want to make sure we're using that math language correctly when we're talking about these problems. It's the bigger absolute value or the number that's farther away from 0, not always the bigger number. So just to wrap up, we just did 3 problems with subtraction. You always do keep, change. And whatever number is farther away from 0 or has a bigger absolute value decides what your sign is for your final answer. If you have any questions, leave me comments, and hope you guys have a good one. See ya.